This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel Abraham, joined by Damon McDonald. Damon, you've had tornadoes down your end.
Fucking unbelievable. Like, I really am beginning to question my existence on this planet. Yeah, we got whacked a little bit. Tropical storm. No, officially it was a tropical storm, but it was apparently just like 4 miles per hour wind gusts that were the difference. But yeah, tornadoes, hurricanes, locusts, everything this year. You name it. We've got COVID-19. What a fucking time to be alive. Yep. So yeah, it was crazy.
Did you see this Beirut explosion thing?
Yeah.
News today as well. It's just like one thing after another, isn't it?
That was crazy. You see that blast? Did you see like the actual?
Yep.
Oh my god!
It's the kind of thing. If I saw it in like a movie or a TV show, I'd be like, bullshit, that would never happen.
Right. What was it? It was a plant like of fertilizer, was it? Did I read that right?
I've seen conflicting reports. Oh. So I saw something about ammonium nitrate.
I saw animal nitrate. Get it? Suede? No? Come on, everybody. Yeah, I saw that fucking thing go, and I was, it looked like what you would see in a movie, the way that the force of the explosion went. It's fucked up. I mean, listen, bad shit happens every year. I hate when people like blame a year. It had nothing to do with the fucking year, but boy, I really think it does this year.
This is without a doubt the worst year.
Come on, right?
On an objective basis,
right?
There's never been a year where we're only halfway through it, and just so much shit has been piling up.
Oh, Joel, we still have an election to go here in the States.
Or do you? From what I understand, that might not be happening.
Well, if somebody has their way.
Postal votes, Damon, they could be open for tampering and interfering, so just best not to have one. Just have no election.
I got news for you. Have you ever seen any of these election machines that you actually do the voting in the United States? These things are like from the 1920s. Yeah, there's a curtain. It's like a little hole punch that the thing makes. It is.
Oh, gotta be careful of them hanging chads, Damon.
Hanging chad. I got a hanging chad for you. Wow. We got I can't wait for November. That should be such a great and peaceful time in our country's history. Oh my Lord. Yeah. Unbelievable. But here's the good news, Joe. If you're looking for a shining light in all of this craziness, and as we like to say here in the Super J-Cast, trying times, troubling times. Toronto Maple Leafs won yesterday.
And Arsenal bringing home the gold. The silverware, the FA Cup. How about that FA Cup final? You watched that as well, didn't you, Damon?
I did. It was exciting. It was an exciting household for sure last weekend. So when during this whole quarantine stuff and everything, and Cheryl tried to experiment a little bit with her sexuality. No, with her cooking. She would make a bunch of shit. So we would joke around. She was opening her own restaurant. And the name of the restaurant was, of course, Tits and Chops. Tits and Chops was open on the weekend. It was fabulous. And it was just countless hours of nonstop sports. It was like putting a power washer in your mouth with the flow of sports. So yeah, we watched all, as Joel would like to say, we watched all the hockey.
All the hockey, all the football.
Yep.
Tell me about the Maple Leafs first then. As someone who knows nothing about hockey, get me on the ground floor. Do the explain like I'm 5 version.
Here are the Maple Leafs. Maple Leafs are one of the most prized and historic teams in all of the National Hockey League, based, of course, out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Yet with all this prestige and all this, and dare I say, in the center of the hockey universe, Toronto, they haven't won dick all since the 60s. That's right, the 60s. There are many times where we haven't even come close. So every time they get into the playoffs, it's in everybody's all just doing cartwheels that they're in, let alone. But in recent years, Joel, we have made.
So can we just wind back a bit? Yeah. Explain what are the playoffs? Because I know nothing about hockey.
Okay,
I just want to know what's at stake.
Yeah, yours is a little different. Right? So you have your regular season where you play 80 games, right? And you're basically playing for seeding in the playoffs, which it's almost like a second season, right? Where you're playing teams best of 7. So during the regular season,
finishing first place in the league before the playoffs doesn't entitle you to any trophy in and of itself.
Well, it does. I mean, it's a kind of a meaningless trophy. It's called the President's Trophy. But yeah, what it does is it allows you to play the worst team making the playoffs. So it makes it your ride to the Stanley Cup.
How many teams in the league?
30. I think it's 32 now with Seattle.
Right, and how many make the playoffs?
I think I want to say 16.
Okay.
So the best team would theoretically play the worst team in each conference. So there's 2 conferences. And then the winners of the conferences play each other in the Stanley Cup final.
All right. So what rank, what league position were the Maple Leafs?
They were middle of the road this year. They were kind of, 5th, 6th seed, so to speak. Now, because of when they shut down in March, hockey season, regular season, usually ends in April. Okay, and then the playoffs begin, and then you're usually deciding a cup winner by June. We'll say the latest is like the first week of June. So they had to shut down the season. So what they're doing right now is they invited a little bit more teams into this. They're calling it a qualifying round, where it's a best of 5, right? And these teams play the top 4 teams that are playing like a little round robin thing for seeding to get into the actual playoffs. Does that make any sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you so far.
And they're doing that for seedings, right? So the top 4 teams are playing each other to decide who's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the other teams are playing a best of 5 series right now to determine who's going to be 5, 6, 7, and 8. Right? And then the real playoffs begin, best of 7. The stressful part about this is, Joe, this is a best of 5. So if you go down 2 games, you're fucked. You are fucked, right? And I didn't even wake up. I don't even know. There was a knockout game last night, and I fell asleep. I could not fucking stay awake. Rangers, Carolina. And Carolina was up 2-0 going into game 3. So I'm going to ask you, I have not looked. Can you do me a favor and just give me a score of last night's Carolina Hurricanes, New York Rangers, tilt, and the winner, if Carolina won, they swept the series.
So I'm Googling this now. So Carolina Hurricanes versus, what was the other team?
New York Rangers.
New York Rangers. And what are the implications for this, for
your team? Yep. If Carolina won, they have swept the qualifying series. They are in, and the New York Rangers are out of the bubble, and they go home.
And what's the significance of this for the Maple Leafs?
Well,
is there a particular result you're hoping for?
If we won, like not really. I just don't like the Rangers, to be quite honest with you. It's just a territorial thing. I just want to see them out.
Okay, so it says here the score is New York Rangers 1, Carolina Hurricanes 4.
That's it. That's it. Rangers are out. They're out of the bubble. That's the case. Let me look. Let me just double check. I don't trust you. All right.
I'm probably reading it wrong.
I know, really. No, 4-1. 4-1, yeah. That's it. That should be it. Goodbye, Rangers. So what's significant of this is, again, they have these, they call them bubbles, Joel. We're going to talk hockey all day long, by the way. Can we do that? That would be so enjoyable. Toronto is a bubble, a hub city, if you will, and Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, where all these teams are playing these games in just 2 arenas. So they'll have a game at noon, 2, 4, 7, 10. There's like 5 games a day, every day, Joel, to do this tournament.
Are they all televised?
All televised.
So you're not leaving your sofa, basically.
I have watched so much hockey.
You're getting bed sores at this point.
I swear it is. It's feast or famine. Yeah, but I've watched at least a piece of every single game. The late games are tough because my eyes. You know me. I'm halfway falling asleep at 9:30. Yes, I'm watching every game. I have two TVs set up in my living room, alone, and then I have my office where I have multiple TVs if I'm in here. So yes. Anywho, that's the Toronto Maple Leaf story. They're playing the Columbus Blue Jackets. They won yesterday. They tied the series at 1. So it made me feel better because we lost the opening game and it was pretty frustrating. But also, I watched the FA Cup, which I don't watch a huge amount of the soccer, but I even texted you. I was like, this is an important thing, right? And you're like, yeah, fucking dude, yes. So I watched that and that was good. In closing, sports are great. Thank you very much.
I was hoping to get more insight from you on the FA Cup because you don't watch too much football or soccer, as you would call it. What were your thoughts watching that game? I thought it was quite an exciting game.
Yeah, as far as that goes, because sometimes they can be a little bit of a defensive struggle, and it's like, oh, it's 0-0, and it's like, okay, come on. But then that type of game that would go into a penalty kick, right? They would go into kicks at that point, right?
If the scores are tied after 90 minutes, you would get half an hour of extra time, and then if it's still level, then penalties.
Gotcha. I thought it was good. I think they
special goal from Aubameyang, the winning goal, where he just absolutely left Kurt Zouma for dead with that little shimmy, dink over the keeper with his weaker foot. That was worthy of winning a FA Cup.
Yeah. What do you think of the penalty? Do you think that was on your first goal?
Yeah, I thought it was a correct decision.
Okay. All right.
I thought the sending off, like the incident that led to Kovacic's second yellow card was harsh. I wouldn't have given that personally, but
didn't the coach get a yellow card too?
I don't know. He might have done. I missed that.
That seemed weird. I thought that was weird. Giving you my hot insight on soccer, I don't know much about it. But it was. I will say this. I think the entire sport. First of all, it was the Bundesliga that kind of set things off, right? When it came to sports in some way coming back. And I think soccer as a whole has done a really good job of getting things rolling when it comes to, they're kind of like the guinea pigs in all this between the Bundesliga, the MLS. MLS was the first league to come back here in the States. And while it's not like super top flight soccer, it's still good soccer. And at that point, I would have watched fucking 12-year-olds play outside. It was good. I listen. I'm just very. It's just you know me, and it means a lot to have that stuff back in my life. Now, will I ever cover a sporting event again in my life? That I don't fucking know. I do not know. Although I will say this: the dude that I do the sports with texted me, and he was actually doing Phillies game baseball at the stadium covering, which gave me a glimmer of hope, even though it got shut down instantly with fucking COVID-19. Did you hear about that? The Florida Marlins.
Oh, I didn't know.
Joe, the entire baseball is, again, I don't know how you can run a sports league. And here's the thing. I don't know how New Japan can do it unless they're containing themselves in a bubble. And again, COVID is a totally different situation in Japan than it is in here. Even though I did see Tanahashi. Did you see Tanahashi news?
No, what's he done now?
Well, I mean, the news according to NJPW 1972, free plug, there is a statement that was released by New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I'll read it as it follows. On August 1st, Hiroshi Tanahashi made a television appearance with another cast member who has since tested positive for COVID-19. Adequate countermeasures were put. Yep. Well, here we go. Adequate countermeasures were put in place during production of the program, and Tanahashi did not come into close contact with the infected party. As a precaution, Tanahashi has since undertaken antigen, antibody, and PCR testing, with all tests returning negative. Tanahashi is in good health, will be able to compete on this week's Summer Struggle events in Korakuen Hall. I hope they're going to continue to test because, as we all know, with this virus, you can be asymptomatic. I would like to see maybe a test right before these events just to make sure everybody's safe. We don't want the spread of COVID-19 in the New Japan Pro Wrestling ring. But, yeah. What were your thoughts on that hot take?
Tanahashi, no selling the COVID. I mean, he only puts over the very best, doesn't he? So it doesn't surprise me that this is a guy who no-sold getting stabbed by a girlfriend and drove himself to the hospital. So I'm not surprised that he's unaffected by COVID-19.
Yep. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. He's probably got the strongest immune system of any young man I know. All right, well, we'll keep an eye on that breaking situation. So again, just to be clear, he does not have COVID-19, but he was with a person who did test. So New Japan Pro Wrestling doing these safety precautions, and that's good. Excellent job by them. Anyway, all right, basically what happened, Joel, was Phillies baseball played team Florida Marlins. Half the team fucking infected. They had to cancel games. And then there's another team, St. Louis Cardinals, basically the same thing. There are rumors, and again, nothing confirmed, that the Florida Marlins were in Atlanta, and they went to a strip club. That's where some of the players got COVID-19.
Funny you should say that. That seems to be like the kind of environment where it's spreading a lot in Japan as well. I know the numbers are getting worryingly high there, and apparently it's all nightlife stuff where
right?
People are not taking the usual precautions. So, going into bars and clubs and places like that, and red light districts. So it doesn't surprise me that's a hotbed of viral activity. Yeah,
I'm sure COVID-19 is probably one of the least concerns if you're worried about the disease.
I mean, I'm trying to imagine a strip club that has social distancing measures in place. Like, I don't know, you'd have like the dancers behind a plastic screen, or people wearing rubber gloves. I can't see it personally.
Well, here's a funny story. Not a funny story, but at least a tag off of that situation. In my area, there's a club. It's a. I'm not going to name the name, but it's. I mean, I don't know if I could walk to it, but it's around me. I drive by it. They're open. They have outdoor seating. And I always say to Cheryl, I was like, we got to go in this place because I just want to see what it is. Like, how are they doing this? Like, how is a strip club doing out? I mean, they have food, but who eats at a fucking strip club? Well, apparently these people did. The chicken wings in Atlanta at this strip club are apparently to die for. That's the excuse that they're using. They're not known for their food. Let's put it that way. Nobody's ordering takeout from this place. They're open. They have like a back deck. There's a big fence, But like, are you really that much of a fucking degenerate that you'd have to get a lap dance in 90-degree weather? It's been brutally hot, by the way, the past couple of weeks. Like, you really, I don't know. The world is fucked. The world is totally fucked. I can't believe it.
And on that bombshell, Mark Rocco, rollerball Mark Rocco, has sadly passed away this week at the age of 69. Do you have any memories of him, the original Black Tiger?
Yeah, I mean, he was an 80s staple. The original Tiger Mask. You can go online and see, and even on New Japan World, you could see plenty of his matches. That's probably the biggest one. I also remember, it's like he always had that fucking Maniac. Oh, it's right on the site. I actually went to the site. That he had this almost like Shinya Hashimoto head wrap, and he would have Maniac on it when he, obviously when he wasn't Black Tiger. I think, yep, there we go. I'm literally confirming myself as I go through the page. Versus Liger, I remember those matches as well. I mean, he was really good. I would give him, for the time too, really good. Here's the thing: I don't really even think that there were a lot of guys that could physically keep up with that New Japan junior heavyweight style of the 80s and 90s really well, especially guys overseas. I mean, you had your Dynamite Kids, you had your Davey Boy Smiths before he blew up, and I don't mean popularity, if you know what I mean. So it was kind of, I would feel it would be very difficult for them to find guys to feud with a lot of the junior heavyweights. So having guys like Owen Hart available, and even in later years, Eddie Guerrero and Benoit and Jericho. But, for a guy in the early 80s, I mean, I don't even, does he go back as far as the 60s maybe? Or the 70s maybe? But in the early 80s, to have a guy to be able to keep up with that style, that's pretty amazing if you think about it. Like, how do you, you can't just possibly just show up in Japan and be like, okay, I'm going to work this guy and make it, work. A guy like Sayama. Like, you get in a ring with him and you'd be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And this is before videotapes and, and having access to a lot of the like, how do you get in a ring and work a great match with a guy that has a style that is so unlike anyone else's style? It's pretty amazing. So yeah, I mean that those are the memories that I have of him. Obviously, Black Tiger being the first. But yeah, also again, just being so influential in helping further the idea of a junior heavyweight division. And I think and again, I'm not saying that I would put him in the upper echelon of great workers, but if you think about the time, I mean, if he didn't at least help in that cause, would we be where we are right now when it comes to a lot of junior heavyweights? And I would put him in the same bucket of influential junior heavyweights that went to Japan, like an Owen Hart or a Chris Benoit or a Dynamite Kid or Davey Boy Smith. I think he's that important in growing junior heavyweights in New Japan. And I think, now that you kind of talk it out loud, I don't think he gets the due that he's deserved when it comes to that.
So a good time then to go on New Japan World and check out the matches they've got from him. I retweeted one that Malibu tweeted out, which was a match for the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship, I believe, from 1982 against Tiger Mask. So definitely check that one out. Sticking with the wrestling, then we have a show to discuss. That was last Friday, July 31st, from Korakuen Hall, part of the Summer Struggle Tour. Not going to go match by match because a lot of it is similar to what we've already seen. Just things that stood out for me. We had Gabriel Kidd, who, again, making a name for himself and standing out from the crowds. He had some really interesting encounters with Tomohiro Ishii there. He's definitely relishing the chance to be going up against the big boys of New Japan, so that was a lot of fun to watch. I actually really enjoyed the GBH against Sanada Shingo match up until the finish, where Sanada tried to do the Shiranui sliced bread thing and Honma, I don't know where it went wrong, but there was a slipping involved and it just looked really ugly. But up until that, it was pretty good. And then in the third match, we've got some discontent amidst the Golden Aces. We saw in the backstage interview Ibushi walking away from Tanahashi. Prior to that, he told him, "You need to improve, Tana," and he's still upset and disappointed with him. So we're curious to see where that leads. Just little moments as well. There was a bit where Tanahashi went for his crossbody off the top, and Taichi just sort of stepped aside with his big shit-eating smile on his face. I thought that was great. Beating Tanahashi up, just tossing him into the corner to Ibushi, and then Tanahashi didn't want to tag out like that, and his pride was stung and he's trying to fight back. And then Yuya Uemura having to help Tanahashi tag out. So really interesting little story they're telling there on. It's a throwaway show, but again, you get these little breadcrumbs, these little story beats that are rewards for lunatics like me who like to watch all this stuff. And also, it's good to see Master Wato growing in confidence. Just little touches like him working the crowd more and being a bit more vocal, showing a bit more fire in his action, talking back to the referee, building his feud with Kanemaru. And I thought it was interesting, Desperado picking up the win here from this 10-man tag. And I actually quite enjoyed the Toriano run-in at the end of the Okada Show Gedo Yujiro match. It made sense for what the story was. And again, that was laying the groundwork for the upcoming Never Six-Man tournament, which we're going to talk about and preview later. And the main event, we had a rematch between Minoru Suzuki and Yuji Nagata, with Suzuki winning after 20 minutes 36 seconds with a Gotch-style pile driver. What did you think of this match, Damon? Did it stand up to the New Japan Cup match they had?
I thought the New Japan Cup match was better, and that's not throwing any shade on them for this match. I thought it was, again, I say it a lot, but it always impresses me that they're older gentlemen in their 50s, and to ask them to go 15, 20 minutes in a main event, I think is pretty amazing. I think that these matches should be graded on some type of scale, if in fact we are grading matches. I thought it was good. There's not. I don't know what other role someone can have for Yuji Nagata at this point. Do you feel that this was kind of almost I don't want to say a swan song, but to me it felt like when he ate that pin, it was almost like, okay, that's the end of Yuji Nagata's singles competitor. To me, like it just felt like that was like the final stamp of his of anything that you could really do at this point for a singles run for Yuji Nagata. Am I off base in that?
No, I agree. I hadn't actually considered it, but it could well be. I actually thought that him losing the New Japan Cup match to Okada and getting eliminated might have been it, but if this is going to be the last or one of the last high-profile singles matches we see from Nagata, I think it would be a very fitting way to go out.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying that I necessarily would want it, and I'll go so far as to say if he got the tap on the shoulder, he could go again. That's not what we're saying here. We're not saying he's washed up and he should be fucking left out in the field. What I'm saying is that okay, well, now what possibly would be the like, where would he go from here at this point? And I think it's
unlikely to be seeing any more Nagata singles main events.
Right. Well, right. That was the one that I felt right after he ate that pin. So I think he's got a lifetime of Master Wato tag matches.
Actually, I mean, having said that, his next match coming up on Thursday, August the 6th, is the opening match and a singles match against Gabriel Kidd. So that will be a really interesting one to see.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, right? I mean, he still has his dad roles to perform, his dad duties to perform. You'll see. I think you'll see a ton of that. But yeah, I'm talking about even like singles match mid card, upper mid card, and I think those again. You could easily put him in that spot, but I just feel like that this was kind of like the we've done that already. The check has been checked in the box.
Liam wrote in with a question: where the fuck is my dad team for the Never Openweight 6-man tag tournament? We were hoping that there might be a Kojima, Tenzan, Nagata team, but there isn't. What we do have, on the other hand, is a team of, let me just get it up here, we have failed to do the most basic of preparations. So we've got what I think on paper is an interesting little tournament, something a lot of us have been clamouring for. I know we write off the 6-man titles as a bit of a joke, but I think they need them if they're running all these Korakuen shows. We said, why don't they do a little tournament for the belts? And they've done that, and I'm looking forward to it because it adds just a little bit of spice to what otherwise would be throwaway 6-man tag matches. So, and quite a lot of stories here, actually. So the teams are, we got Yano, Okada and Sho, Jado, Yujiro and Gedo, Sanada, Shingo and Bushi, Desperado, Suzuki and Doki, Ibushi, Tanahashi, Wato, Zack Sabre Jr., Taichi and Kanemaru, Honma, Makabe and Toguchi, and Ishii, Goto and Yoshihashi. And there's a surprisingly high number of stories going into this tournament. So, like I said, we had Yano making a run in at the end of the Chaos against Bullet Club tag team match on Friday at Korakuen Hall. And yeah, but a strange team, Yano, Okada and Sho, and going up against the Bullet Club team of Jado, Yujiro and Gedo. So that match is going to be on Thursday. So it's, so it's going to be the 5th match. And it does look on paper to be one of the worst 3-man, well, 6-man, whatever you call it, tag teams I've ever seen. This Jado, Gedo and Yujiro team.
Right.
We have a couple of questions about that one, actually.
Well, I got a question, too. Let me start with my question. How can a team... again, let's just play pro wrestling fan here and put on our dummy caps. In what world would a team who has lost what felt like every single Korakuen show up until this point to Okada and Sho, on what planet does Yujiro Gedo get into any tournament, let alone bring in Jado along, right? How did they earn this slot into this 6-man tag when they have lost every tag match they've been in the past month? Please answer that.
Yeah, and having that team in at the expense of the dads is just outrageous. Cancel the whole thing, Damon. I can't believe they've done this. But yeah, RBX 2000 says, using the New Japan roster, could you put together a worse trio than Jado, Gedo, and Yujiro? But Kieran says, discuss only the positives about the Jado, Gedo, and Yujiro team. So to take the first question, I don't think it's possible to make a worse team than that, to be honest. That is really scraping the bottom of the barrel there. Particularly Jado just looking completely immobile at this point. Gedo, only wrestling when he absolutely has to. And Yujiro, I mean, we know Yujiro can go, but he obviously can't be bothered at this point. But positives about that team?
Positive, they have nice flat shoulders and backs that they all can easily lie down and take a pinfall.
And they'll probably get eliminated. Or will they? Wait, what's your prediction here? Let's do our pick'ems.
All right, so on the 6th, which is tomorrow, all this is going down within what, 3 days? The finals are on the 9th. Look, is there any way they would be absolutely lose their marbles and have Jado, Yujiro, Gedo beat Yano, Okada, and Sho? Is there any way?
No chance. And I also think part of that is down to who they will be facing in the next brackets, right. Which, I mean, just to tip my hand here, we have Bushi, Sanada, and Shingo against Doki, Desperado, and Suzuki. And Suzuki said in his post-match interview after beating Nagata that he had his eyes on a new target and they've no idea yet. They won't see it coming. So a lot of speculation that could be Suzuki going after never openweight champion Shingo Takagi. So leading to a possible title challenge at the Jingu Stadium show. So I think in the main event of this show tomorrow, we will have Suzuki pinning Shingo, which means we have the Suzuki-Gun team going through, and I don't think we would have Suzuki-Gun against Bullet Club, seeing as they're both positioned as heels. So my prediction would be the Suzuki-Gun team wins and goes on to face the Chaos team in the next round. What are your thoughts on that LIJ against Suzuki-Gun?
I like the way that you're thinking things out, because I feel the same way. I know it's 2020 and all, but there's no way Jado and Gedo and Yujiro are beating Yano Okada. And I do see Suzuki and Shingo locking horns in an outdoor arena. Suzuki pins Shingo to set it up. Yeah, I mean, that makes the most sense, right? If that's the direction we're going. So I think we're on the same page with both our winners for the 6th. The 6th. So that's the first show. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Then on the 7th, we have Tanahashi, Ibushi, and Wato against Taichi, Zack, and Kanemaru. This one is really interesting because obviously we've got this ongoing feud between the Golden Aces and Dangerous Tekkers. And then we've also got the added feud of Master Wato against Kanemaru. So, again, this is not just like a throwaway tournament here. There's a lot of storylines weaved into the fabric of this tournament. And, yeah, this is a tricky one to predict because if they're continuing with the story of Tanahashi letting down Ibushi, maybe it comes to a head here. Maybe Tanahashi is the person who gets pinned or somehow costs this team the win, leading to more discord between Ibushi and Tanahashi. Or maybe we have the story of Ibushi basically having to win the match by himself. But I think that's unlikely. And also, actually, another storyline here, the possibility of Master Wato winning New Japan title before Yoshihashi does. So a lot at stake here. But yeah, I'm leaning towards Tanahashi and his pride costing his teammates the win here. And the Suzuki-Gun team of Taichi, Zack, and Kanemaru going through to the next round.
I could definitely see that. I think what I'm most surprised with, Joel, looking at these brackets is you're right. This isn't just something that was thrown against the wall and let's hope it fucking sticks. Like, again, we talked about New Japan Pro Wrestling hitting the pause button and then coming back with what seemed like a New Japan Cup that was filled with surprises, and they had to, half the roster's not in Japan and we got to make do. Yet we get to August 6th and August 7th, and we've got something that quite possibly could seem completely insignificant, the Never Six-Man titles. They have to be dropped because of the situations of people turning and all that stuff. Yet the fine detail in this tournament is pretty remarkable. I mean, just the fact that the puzzle piece fits to have Ibushi, Tanahashi, and Wato against Zack, Taichi, and Kanemaru, right? It's not. Is that just fucking coincidence that you have when they hit the restart button, Ibushi and Tanahashi, Zack and Taichi feuding over the tag titles, fit perfectly in Wato, who makes his fucking debut, and Kanemaru, of all people, who happens to be in Suzuki-Gun, so that could fit perfectly. Then on the other side of the bracket, you do have the whole Okada-Gedo thing still going on, and Yujiro and Gedo being in 500 tag matches with Okada, trying to fuck him over with brass knuckles every night. And then below that, you got this Suzuki-Gun and LIJ thing where it does look like Suzuki and Shingo are on a path for an outdoor show. Isn't that amazing? Like, again, for something that could be completely considered throwaway, the idea that New Japan doesn't give a shit about some of this stuff, I don't know. I think people could throw that out the window when they have stuff like this occur. That, again, little seeds throughout these Korakuen shows to help further storylines, but they come back from a pause, and the details are still there for something as again, in air quotes, minor as the never openweight 6-man tag team championships.
Yeah, and these are usually kind of filler matches on the bigger shows at least, but given the way that they're positioned with this run of Korakuen shows, that they are like the co-main and the main event, I think they're going to be given enough time, and I'm optimistic that I think these matches are going to be pretty good. I think they'll be exciting.
I tell you what, this does too. It really does put a spotlight on the importance of those factions. Like if they didn't have factions, I don't know how you would be able to do something like this and make it cohesive and have it make sense. It would be just throwing the spaghetti plate against the wall. So it does. When people bitch and moan about factions, i.e. me, I should shut my fucking mouth, because here's another reason why they're pretty important in again, something. I'm just fascinated by the fact that these titles, yes, they've been neglected. Yes, they're not the most important thing in the world, but the detail to find ways to make this interesting with storylines coming back from this pause is pretty amazing to me. It's the details, the art, what is it? The beauty's in the detail. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Something's in the details, Joel, and I think this speaks to it.
Is it the devil? The devil is in the details.
Is it devil in the details? It might be right. Well, guess what? Satan is in this tournament. All right.
Can't believe it. We've got a show where Damon is not only praising the never openweight 6-man titles and the booking of them, but also factions. So there we go. Who was your pick for that match, Damon? The Tanahashi, Ibushi, Wato. Okay, you're going with the Suzuki-gun team there.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Suzuki-gun. Although there would be double-dipped Suzuki-gun. Do you think Wato can get a win?
I think it wouldn't shock me. I think he is going to get a win over Kanemaru at some point, but I don't know when it's going to come. I think maybe you want to save that until you're doing something with junior tag titles. Again, I've just got this idea stuck in my head of a match or maybe an extended feud between Kanemaru Desperado and Wato, and I would like Taguchi to be his partner for those junior tag team titles. So I'm looking at payoff between this Wato Kanemaru thing. Could be in this match, but I don't think so. I think there's more legs in it.
Yeah, I just see Zack and Taichi and Kanemaru being better opponents, I guess, for optics than Ibushi, Tanahashi, Wato, right? Like Zack, Taichi, Kanemaru versus Honma, Makabe, Taguchi. Like I could see that. I could see Zack, Taichi, Kanemaru versus Ishii, Goto, Yoshihashi. Like I could see that.
Yeah, how about this? So, okay, we're just sort of looking ahead to the next match. You've got Honma, Makabe, Taguchi against Goto, Ishii, Yoshihashi. I'm assuming the Chaos team wins here. And wouldn't it be great to have, in the next rounds, Goto, Ishii, Yoshihashi team beating the Suzuki-gun team, thus entitling, is that a word? Mm-hmm. Goto and Ishii to challenge Dangerous Tekkers for the heavyweight tag team titles at Jingu Stadium. How good would that be? It's not going to happen, but it would be really good if it did.
I don't see why it wouldn't. Why not? I know we're balls deep in fucking balls deep. What did I want to say? Sorry, I feel like juice for a minute there.
Delete the Twitter.
I know. I actually wanted to say knee deep. I really did want to say knee deep, but balls came out. Weird.
If we did titles for our podcast, that would be it. Balls deep in the never openweight 6-man tournament.
I mean, but here's the thing. Have we ever talked as much about these fucking silly titles as we have here today?
No, never. Not
Never.
In my memory of the show. Probably in the whole Purocast as well.
Right. I mean, we should call this the never talked about it open weight 6-man tag team. Never have we talked more about. But that would be actually perfect to have. But then that means in the okay. Well, I guess you could just still do a finals of Ishii, Goto and Yoshihashi against. I guess the way we have it mapped out would be Desperado, Suzuki, Doki.
Yeah, so it depends who we're picking in the semi-finals. So in the semi-finals, on one side of the bracket, we would have Okada, Yano, and Sho against Desperado, Suzuki, Doki. That one, a bit trickier to call. I mean, I'm assuming that Okada is going to have his hands full with this KOPW gimmick that he's got going. So I cannot see Okada being a never 6-man openweight tag champion, to be honest. So I would assume that the Desperado Suzuki Doki team beats them, and then goes on to the final. Are you in agreement?
I am in agreement for a lot of the same reasons. Sho obviously can wear this title. Yano obviously can wear this title. I mean, they did put this title for a cup of coffee on Tanahashi, if we remember back. I think it was like.
But I mean, Okada's got his whole thing. I've never challenged for any other belt apart from the IWGP Heavyweight title. I don't actually think that's accurate. I think he has challenged for it. I mean, technically, when he faced Naito at Wrestle Kingdom 14 on night 2, that was him challenging for the Intercontinental title. And I believe he and Goto challenged for the tag titles when Evil and Sanada had them. But anyway, I cannot imagine Okada coming out, doing his big entrance with the robe with a never 6-man title belt around his waist. Right. And the IWGP Heavyweight title is the only one that he's held before, and I can't see the 6-man titles being the other one.
Wouldn't it be great if they do make it all the way through? Yano going nuts, he wins the title. Show proud as fuck with a never title, and Okada just staring at the fucking belt like, what in the I gotta tag with these jabrones? Jesus, God Almighty. I can't see Okada doing that. So my pick on the left side of the bracket would be Desperado, Suzuki, and Doki.
So then on the other side of the bracket, so hold on, this show would be Saturday, right? Saturday, August the 8th. We've got our semi-finals.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, the semi-finals would be the 8th.
Yeah, so then as we've booked it, we're going Zack, Taichi, Kanemaru against Ishii, Goto, Yoshihashi, and the Chaos team winning there to set up a Desperado, Suzuki, Doki against Ishii, Goto, Yoshihashi final.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I think we pieced this together nicely. I don't think this is crazy conspiracy, harebrained. Really. No, I think this makes sense.
Yeah, and the fact that our picks could just fall apart completely tomorrow. Like by the time you listen to this, the 4 teams that we've picked in the semi-finals are probably going to be out. But that's part of the fun, isn't it? I like the fact that I wouldn't say with any real certainty that the way this is going to go. It's just a fun way of playing it out. And again, that would set up a final where we have an inbuilt storyline. Who's winning New Japan Gold first, Doki or Yoshihashi?
Yeah. Or even Wato or Doki or Yoshihashi. I know the finals we're talking here for that. Give me your pick.
I like I like both, actually. I like either way that this could go. I'd quite like to see Doki as a New Japan champion. I think the gold will look good on him. I'll go with Ishii, Goto, Yoshihashi, because them having those belts would be a nice moment for Yoshihashi to get his first title win. And again, I would ideally like Ishii and Goto to go on and challenge for the heavyweight tag titles. And of course, holding never 6-man gold does not preclude you from challenging for other belts, as we have seen many times. Shingo was until recently a double champion. I think others have been as well. So yeah, my pick would be Ishii, Goto, and Yoshihashi.
Okay. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say Desperado Suzuki Doki, even though Suzuki will have his sights on the never openweight heavyweight champion. I think a Ishii Goto win, them getting a pinfall over Zach or Taichi, will help solidify their challenge. So I'll go the other way. I'll go Suzuki-gun, and Doki will get his title before Yoshihashi.
So you can look forward to both of those teams getting eliminated tomorrow night at Korakuen Hall. So there we go. A bit of fun with the never openweight 6-man tag team title. So well done, New Japan, for doing something with those. And we also have another tournament to talk about. Well, first of all, I didn't realise when we recorded last week, Damon, that Lions Break Collision was finished. That was just a little self-contained series of 4 episodes or whatever it was. And we're not going to be seeing any more of that. And it's now going to be New Japan Strong, which starts on August the 7th, so that will be this Friday, with a New Japan Cup USA tournament, 8-man tournament, with a winner getting a future IWGP US title shot. One thing to mention off the bat, a lot of people asking where Juice was, and then New Japan announced that he had a leg injury and was going to be missing this one. And there was a really interesting interview with Juice Robinson with TalkSport, and there's just some really funny quotes in here. Okay, let me read this one to you, and you tell me, do you think this is a guy who gives a flying fuck about what's going on in wrestling at the moment? So he's asked about how it's been during lockdown, the international talents not being able to take part in current New Japan. Juice says, it's been fine. New Japan is full of stars, Japanese or foreign, doesn't matter. We've got enough talent where half the roster could be trapped overseas and the shows are still the best. To be honest, I haven't really thought too hard about wrestling since the pandemic started. Just been hanging out with the people I love, eating cheeseburgers and drinking IPAs with my sweet babe.
And being bald. Sorry. Yeah, he doesn't really... some people take, they take to this vacation, and we'll put it in quotes, better than others. And Juice seems to not be too concerned, right? Do you think Juice is a big mask wearer when he's out in the town partying it up? I don't think so.
If he does, it'll be a very colourful, flamboyant, jazzy one with lots of
tie-dye.
Little frilly bits or pom-poms, whatever.
I want to make sure everybody's safe. Juice, I know that you are a youngster and you can't be cooped up in the house. I get it. Just be safe. That's all we're asking. You have your IPAs. Just make sure you're responsibly doing your drink.
Is he dating Tony Storm?
That's what I think, right? Yeah. Isn't that the rumor? Yeah.
Good for him. Well done, Juice.
Yeah. Listen, Juice, I don't think Juice is, Juice doesn't need our fucking congratulations for that's for sure. I think Juice can handle himself very well out there in the dating world. How about Tony Storm, though? Tony Storm, congratulations to Tony Storm. Juice is
a great couple, my favorite pro wrestling couple.
Really? Is it your favorite one right now?
I don't know. Name me some others. I'm not.
Name me another pro wrestling couple that you like. Name me another pro wrestling couple.
Evil and Io Shirai. Is that a thing?
I don't know. Is it? I'm not really good on the couples things. I don't really pay much mind to who's dating whom. I don't care who's dating whom. I care about who's zooming who. Get it? Aretha Franklin? Maybe we should just stop right now.
All right, let's stick with this New Japan Cup USA tournament then. So, okay, let's do our fantasy booking then for our pick'ems. So,
yes.
The stand-up match, a rematch of what was supposed to be in the New Japan Cup initially. We got Carl Fredericks against Kenta. And I understand that Carl Fredericks is the big hot young superstar at the moment, and it seemed that Lions Break Collision was built to showcase his talents. A bit surprising, actually. Were you surprised that Jeff Cobb beat him in that final match?
Yeah. Truth be told, I was. I really felt like that was, unless they were building for something.
Maybe a rematch.
I mean, it did kind of feel like, well, I mean, why not give them the win? Like, what the why are we here if we're not turning Carl Fredericks into a legitimate guy? I mean, the last thing that you will remember from those blocks of shows is that Jeff Cobb got the win, right? That's the last image that you have. And I would think,
and if he's not beating Jeff Cobb, sorry, you go ahead.
No, I would think that you would want like Jeff. I don't know. Is Jeff Cobb more important to New Japan Pro Wrestling success than Carl Fredericks? I don't know. I just felt like that was a slam dunk Carl Fredericks win, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, I was going to say if he's not beating Jeff Cobb, then there's no way he's beating Kenta, surely.
You know, I mean, originally, wasn't the talk that he was supposed to debut his new, look, new feel, graduation from Young Lioness against Kenta in New Japan Cup? Even with that being said, I mean, they could really do something dramatic and shocking and have him beat Kenta. I mean, that would rock. That would be the talk of the town, no doubt. I just don't think New Japan has the guts to do that. I really don't. Kenta's got to win this. And I'll say this too: you take out Kenta in this tournament, and what the fuck else is he doing? Let's be truthful, right? It's not like he's going to lose one match and then go home. What other name is in this tournament? Like, let me take that back. What other guy is at Kenta's level, name-wise, in this tournament? You know what I mean? So why would you take him out first? Kenta's winning is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And on the bottom left-hand side of the bracket, we've got Jeff Cobb against Tanga Loa. So again, there's a temptation to pick Carl Fredericks because then maybe you think he gets his win back over Jeff Cobb in the semi-finals. But whilst I do see Jeff Cobb beating Tanga Loa, who is primarily a tag team wrestler, I have that setting up Jeff Cobb against Kenta semi-finals. So you going likewise Cobb over Tanga Loa?
I'm really trying to think of a way that Loa would like squeeze in past Jeff Cobb here, and I just don't have it. We're in the same boat. Kenta, Jeff Cobb in the finals of that side.
Then David Finlay against Chase Owens. That's an interesting one. Quite looking forward to that.
Yeah, that one can go either way, right?
It could, yeah. I mean, David Finlay until I can't remember when he lost the titles. I guess it was back in February. He was a World Tag League winner, a heavyweight tag team champion. So I think he is positioned above Chase Owens. But again, Chase Owens is a guy, he's the spoiler, isn't he? You would not rule him out getting the win. I don't know. This one's quite hard to call. I'm picking David Finlay here.
I really feel like it's a coin flip. I mean, I don't think I'm not super positive, and like this is certainly not a slam dunk either way.
I'm just looking ahead to see who I think would be who would be the best opponent out of these four for Kenta in the final.
That's what I'm looking
leaning
at too.
Towards. Yeah, David Finlay and Kenta being, I think, being able to have a really good match, and David Finlay getting that, I say babyface heat in an empty building, but yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Is Kenta, David Finlay a sexy main event for you?
No, I mean, none of these are that sexy. I mean, we've got the first. All four first round matches are going to be on this Friday's show, and then the week after that will be the semi-finals, and I think the week after that will be the finals. So, I mean, this is just, I don't want to say a nothing show, but it's a new show. It's just something to keep them all busy. So, sexiness. I'm not going to say like, Kenta versus David Finlay is unworthy of a NJPW strong main event because we don't know what it is yet. You know what I mean? It's not like we're headlining a Dominion or a G1 final or something with this kind of match.
Sure. Pro wrestling's got a not even pro wrestling. I think all of sport, and if you want to put pro wrestling in sport category, like the best thing you could do is a tournament because every match means something and you can kind of follow along and you can kind of geek out a little bit. The idea of tournaments is a solid idea.
I tell you what, something that's just popped in my head. If you really push the story of David Finlay getting that possibility, the possibility of David Finlay getting that US title shot and going up against Jon Moxley and trying to do what his partner Juice Robinson couldn't. You know, you play out that Moxley and Juice history, the fact that Moxley's got a win over Juice, and then play that in with the Finlay thing. I think you could build up an interesting story going into the final.
Yeah. You think Tama Tonga's out of the mix here?
Okay, now that's a really interesting one because we've got Brody King and Tama Tonga. Right. And again, Tama is primarily a tag guy. So I would think Brody King has more upside as a singles wrestler that you would want to push him, not necessarily all the way, but have him get a big win over Tama Tonga here. I don't think that would hurt Tama too much, to be honest. But then again, Tama's been with the company so long, he's the more tenured guy. That one, that one's a bit of a coin flip too. And a semi-final of Tama Tonga and David Finlay has the history going into it with all the feud that Gorillas of Destiny have had with Finjuice in the past. So that one is actually very tricky for me to pick.
Tama Tonga, to me, is the Kenta aside, is like the biggest wild card for me. Because I absolutely think he could get past Brody King. And then you get it to and then it's David Finlay or Chase Owens. All right, so let's just say it's David Finlay. Tama Tonga, I know we talk about him being primarily a tag wrestler. I mean, could that be the beginning of us not putting that label on him?
I don't think that's a label he's put on himself. He announced last year, prior to not being included in the G1, that he was. Well, he said I'm not entering the G1 because I want to concentrate on the tag division, and so I don't want to say that being primarily a tag guy is like a demotion or anything for him, because he obviously takes pride in it. And I like the fact that he says stuff like, I want to concentrate on being a tag champion rather than a singles guy. I think it's just sort of filling a hole here because of the fact that they've got a depleted roster over there. But right. I could see Tama Tonga, David Finlay being a good semi-final. I'm
going with that as my semi-final. We're in agreement that Kenta's winning this thing?
Yeah, I'll stick with a Kenta beating David Finlay in the final. And I don't know with this future championship opportunity if Kenta's going to get a trophy or maybe a briefcase or something like that. But yeah, Kenta would be my pick.
Where's Jay White in all this?
That is a good question. He's doing more countdown nonsense. He's been. I can't remember off the top of my head what the date was. I think he's on the move. Something's up with Jay. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's gone back or is going back to New Zealand with a view to go from New Zealand to Japan, if that makes it easier for him. I don't know. Every time I've asked about the potential of either him returning or guys like Juice and Ospreay returning to Japan, I get conflicting information. So I'm just ignoring it, and I don't want to speculate on it until they actually appear. But right. He's not in this tournament. And if he's not on these strong shows at all, then it does beg the question, where is he?
Right. I mean, if he is in the United States, it's just like, where is Jay White? It's he would be on these shows, right? Like, if Jay White isn't in the United States, he would be on these shows.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. He's not hurt. He's not. How did Juice get hurt? He hurt his leg?
Probably. I'm not going to say it.
Is that what
what I was going to say.
He fucks violently. He fucks like a machine. Wow. Could you imagine hurting your leg fucking? Please.
Do you remember there was a G1 match where Zach tapped him out using some elaborate submission? Yeah, had him folded up like an accordion. I'm imagining some sort of sex position like that.
Wow. Kinky. What are you doing? They hurt you. I mean, squats. Could he? I don't know. What the fuck? Who cares? I don't know. I just thought it was weird that we didn't see Jay White here. Again, him and his videos and his countdowns, and he's traveling, and he's in an airplane. He's all over the fucking place. I don't know. Seems weird to me. All right. So again, Kenta is your New Japan. Is it a guarantee that the winner of this tournament takes on, or wins, or what are the stakes here for this New Japan Cup USA? Is it a definite US title shot?
Yes, we have questions about that. Jason says if this tournament is for a US title shot and not stripping Mox and making it for the belt, does that mean Mox could defend it soon on US soil? Who knows when he can make it to Japan? And Ben says, any chance AEW lets Moxley defend the title, or are they just going to strip him again?
He's going to get stripped. I would say that there is a... I'm not going to say a 0% chance. Again, 2020 is pretty fucking weird. Can you imagine Tony Khan being like, all right, go fucking defend the title?
Well, he's Fulham won the playoffs. That's his team that he's put his money in. Maybe he's in a good mood. Maybe Harold phoned him up after the playoff final and be like, hey, yeah, good result, Tony. You must be celebrating. You had a bit of champagne. Hey, can we have Moxley?
Let me get you a drink. Let me get you a bottle.
Just an empty arena show, okay? Just one episode of New Japan Strong. Come on, Tony.
What do you say? Come on. No harm, no foul. Let's go balls deep. He said. I can't get over that. I'm sorry. I don't see it happening, man. Do you?
Nope. Absolutely not.
I don't see it happening. So I guess we're going to hold up the title. Well, then okay. So we're going to hold up the title again. So we're going to have this tournament to get a shot at a title that is now vacant.
It sounds ridiculous when you say it like that. I mean, I think the money match down the line is Kenta against Juice Robinson for that title, but how we get there is another question entirely. Because if you are gonna, if they were gonna strip Mox of that title, why would they not just make this tournament for the title?
For the title, right? You're gonna have a tournament for an opportunity to wrestle for a match for the vacant title. Because that's what they're going to do.
And then put the same guys in another tournament.
Right. That's what they're going to do. Unless they completely hold off on this and they make it where, no, I'm not going to, I don't know, where, again, they find a loophole and not make Moxley defend this fucking title, and they just hold off until they can finally do it, which would be totally against everything that they said. But I mean, before the pandemic, it was, okay, you can't make it into the country, you're fucked, title is vacant. Didn't they say something along the lines of, well, troubling times, Joel, and we're going to extend that, right? Didn't they mention something like that?
They did. That was the excuse for not stripping Roppongi 3K of the junior tag titles as well.
Oh, okay. Really? Well, that's not COVID related. And that's a guy who's injured.
Yeah, but I've confused myself now.
You know what I mean? Like that's to me, that's a totally different scenario. This is, I can't get into the fucking country because, there's a global pandemic, as opposed to, I fucked up my knee in the ring. Seems like two different things. I don't know. It just seems weird that we're going to have this New Japan Cup USA and not have it be for the title. You know what? I got to be honest. They might just be like, fuck it. This is for the title. How hard would it be to have Harold do a fucking video and be like, due to the fact that I don't know why Harold talks like this, but this is my Harold voice. Due to the fact that he sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Due to the fact that John Moxley cannot defend this title, he has been stripped, and it's now for the title. I'm Harold May. Thank you. Right? Why can't he do that?
Well, why do that now and not do it at the start? What would have changed?
Again, maybe Harold is waiting for the roses and the bouquet, or the bouquet of roses and the champagne to arrive at Tony Khan's office. He's looking at the tracking number, being like, "Why isn't this fucking thing delivered yet? Taking 3 days. I paid priority."
The text message on red. He's got the blue tick, and he's like, "This motherfucker hasn't replied." I know he's seen the message.
Yeah. Right. So he's holding on hope. So, yeah. Maybe this is.
I think we've probably put more thought into the US title than the company ever have at any point in their history. Okay, Obstar 12 says, do you think New Japan US shows are making the best of having talent stuck in America? Or do you think it will hold strong as a brand once travel opens up and they just slot wrestlers back and forth between the two brands? And Anders says, is the New Japan Cup US a step closer to a US-based New Japan promotion or to give the wrestlers in the US something to do? So, yeah, what do you see the long-term prospects of NJPW Strong being?
I mean, they could still do something. I don't think it's going to be what originally everyone thought it was going to be, in the sense of, the talk of the California territory, right? There's still a dojo there, and they can still, obviously, they have the equipment and the wherewithal to produce something coming out of the United States. So I think it'll be kind of a meeting ground between those two thoughts. I don't think it'll be a separate thing where there'll be a ton of talent trades back and forth. It's not going to be a Raw SmackDown kind of thing. But I think LA will produce shows very similar to what we're seeing here, with the talent that is there. And why not? Well, I think they're going to be more along the lines of these what were they called? The Lionsgate shows that they used to do with fucking Shinjuku, or Lions Pride, or whatever the fuck it was called. That's why I kind of see it. I don't see it being a division. Again, a California territory, but I think you'll have pro wrestling content coming from there. Sure, absolutely.
Andrew says, do you think Evil versus Naito, Hiromu versus Taiji, Shingo versus Suzuki, Taichi and Zack versus Tanahashi Ibushi, the KOPW 2020 match, and Sanada versus Sonic the Hedgehog looks like a stadium-worthy card in a non-COVID era, assuming the foreigners are still banned?
I think so. I mean, that lineup could easily be any one of the, I don't want to say B shows or, non-Wrestle Kingdom G1 final, let's put it this way. Could that be a Dominion, Joel? Could that be
I think a lot of people would argue that as a lineup is stronger, a lot stronger than what was put on the table at Dominion.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is absolutely worthy of a big show. I mean, that's a pretty sexy lineup, don't you think?
Yeah, I dig it. I'm really looking forward to this show.
Yeah. I mean, and considering that again, I say it 1,000 times, half the fucking roster can't get into the country. That's not bad with the cards that you're dealt. How many people are going to be able to get in the stadium? What's the number that was thrown around to us?
I think at the moment it's still 5,000.
Okay. Is that going to look? Are the optics of that going to look a little? That's a big stadium. It's a baseball stadium, right? 5,000 people in a big building like that. I don't know. That's going to be weird. And again, this is not like it's the Bundesliga. I just like saying that word. I'm sorry. Where you're going to tarp off large sections, and this is a ring. You got a huge football pitch. This is one area. This is a ring we're focused on in a baseball stadium, Joel. 5,000 people. That's going to. Here's the thing: it's going to be cool, and it's going to be weird, and it's going to be an experiment. That's for sure. It's going to look empty, isn't it, Joel?
I don't know. I haven't seen any matches or anything from this stadium, so I've got nothing to compare it to. But again, I don't really care about the optics of that at this point. It's just, we're stuck in the shit at the moment. I'm just watching the matches.
Yeah. All right. I look. I like the fact that 5,000 people can get in a fucking building and watch pro wrestling. That's pretty great.
Yeah, there's absolutely no value in micro-analyzing, ticket sales or anything like that at this point, is there?
Listen, I'm just trying to tell you that Naito's not a draw. All right, and
well, what do you think about the drawing potential of Sonic the Hedgehog?
Well, I mean, look, jeez, why do they call him Sonic the Hedgehog? His hair?
I don't know if Andrew's talking specifically about the Sonic the Hedgehog or if that's a new affectionate nickname for Master Watto, but who knows?
I mean, do you think he looks like Sonic the Hedgehog?
The blue spiky hair, or maybe in this tournament he can debut his new finisher. I mean, he did say he was only operating at 60% of his power, so maybe 80% or closer to 100. He's going to be rolling into a ball at several thousand revs per minute and charging at his opponents and just blasting them into pieces.
Getting those gold coins or rings or whatever it was, right? Were you a big Sonic guy back in the day?
I like both. I enjoyed Sonic and Mario. For those early consoles, I owned one of them. I had a Super Nintendo, which my parents bought for me. I may have told this story on the show before, but that console, I had Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and I played it so much, I got blisters on my thumbs from doing the quarter circle forward Hadouken motion, and basically played it so much that my parents gave away the Super Nintendo because they were concerned I was becoming addicted to it. So that was my childhood console gaming.
Wow. For me, just replace Super Nintendo with Penthouse Magazine. The same things for me. Everything happened.
I mean, funnily enough, actually, now I am playing Super Nintendo games. I'm working through Super Mario RPG at the moment, so I have not grown out of it.
Did you ever get a console?
Fuck you, Mum and Dad.
Right, that showed you. I love the stories where it's like, where parents would do that, like, it's like a bass guitar, and the kid would play it till his fingers bled. And they, take it away the bass. Your studies are, and then the guy goes on and is like, in a band and he's rich.
Yeah, that's what I imagine. Have you seen the movie Whiplash? That was me, but with Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Just doing fireballs until I'm like my blood's just dripping all over the control pad.
Wow.
And I needed like a sort of a cheat teacher, mentor figure who's just like driving me towards it. Come on, do those fucking dragon punches, you piece of shit!
God almighty. You really love those video games, man. I didn't have a lot of the consoles growing up. I had an Atari. That's how old I am. And I had, I think I had the original Nintendo. And I think I bought that myself, actually. But then I had a girlfriend whose brother had a Sega Genesis. And we would play, what's that fucking game that came with the Genesis? I just remember the fucking Rise from Your Grave.
Altered Beasts.
Altered Beasts! That's fucking it, yes. We would play that a lot. We would always call the fucking guys Terry Funk. I don't know why. Like the guys that would come up, the beast that would come up, we would be like, I don't know why we called them Terry Funk. I don't know. There you go. What a life I lived. All right, what else we got in the world of New Japan Pro Grappling?
All right, just digging into questions now. James says, what do you think of the term spreadsheet fan to describe people who are very concerned with match quality and star ratings? Insulting or apt? I heard it bandied around a lot recently.
Spreadsheet fan? Oh, like people who like track match rankings so they can go back for match of the year stuff? Is that what we're talking about?
I must admit that like when you're deep
we're making
into...
fun of those people now? That's who we're making fun of?
When you get deep into a G1 and the discourse is, well, I've got this person with an average rating of 4.13 stars, so they are the best, and that loses me a bit, I have to admit.
I mean, to a certain degree, but I like the geekiness of it. Like I like the fact that people are passionate enough about something that they kind of want. Look, I'll give you a perfect example. There's people who casually watch baseball games, and then there's people who talk about fucking launch angles and fucking pitch counts and care about the minutia. Like I can appreciate that. There are people who watch movies that could tell you the fucking key grip of every Scorsese film because they're that passionate. Don't fucking tell people how to watch. That's you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm not here's the thing. I kind of fall somewhere in the middle where it's appropriate. I'll get my fucking spreadsheet out. Fuck you. G1, absolutely, but like. The people who like keep like a running log of matches for like match of the year, like I probably lose interest in that by like the third week of January. I'm just like, all right, whatever. I don't give a shit. I'll figure it out.
That's what I mean. It's not for me personally. It's not something that interests me, but I can see why other people do it. I'm not invalidating that, but it doesn't interest me.
I mean, look. I mean, let people fucking enjoy how they want to enjoy it. What does it matter? Like, it just.
Well, I tell you why, because it's this sort of schism that has appeared due to Evil's title win that has seemed to have driven a wedge between the New Japan and the wrestling fandom at large. It's one of the most divisive times I can remember being a fan. I mean, other stuff has popped up. I mean, I remember even in recent years, like Kenny Omega being very divisive, Ospreay divisive.
Kenny Omega is still divisive.
Jay White, yeah. I mean, but this seems different.
And this is based over match quality? Is that what the crux of the argument is?
Yeah. People saying that it's taken a noticeable step down. And again, I don't agree with this, but a noticeable step down from what it was before.
I mean, look, it's a valid argument for people who watch New Japan Pro Wrestling for match quality that a guy who hasn't really produced a ton of fantastic matches is your world champion, where for the past, again, we've said it 1,000 times, in the past 5 years, we know the argument. But, I mean, may I transition this into another question, which might help us reach something here. Big T says, for someone having a hard time getting into the product this year, do you think overall it's been a step down or a side effect of all the pandemic going on? It's a side effect of all the pandemic going on.
So even without COVID, do you think Evil would still be champion?
I swear on my to the day I die, I don't think Evil would be world champion if it wasn't for this.
Okay.
I don't.
But let's say even if you were, then there would still be stuff on the undercards that would make those main events more palatable to the subsection of fans who don't like it. Because again, you'd have your Moxley plunder match and your Ospreay flippy match, blah blah blah.
And Shingo beating the shit out of people. Yes. Yeah. I mean, look. I don't want to repeat myself because it feels like I've said these things many times on this show. But the reason why I watch New Japan Pro Wrestling is not for the goofiness. Like, that doesn't do anything for me. Like, again, but there are people that watch New Japan Pro Wrestling for, Yano, or when they were there, best friends, or, there's different strokes for different folks. Like what the fuck you want to like. But, like, the Evil thing, there's a valid argument there. If you don't watch New Japan Pro Wrestling for the match quality, okay. I kind of like, okay, well, why are you here? There's plenty of other pro wrestling where I feel like you can get better comedy or better whatever. But you're here and it's cool. I don't know. I just don't get the fact of why people gotta fucking. It kind of bothers me when people argue with other. Like, if you want, you can. Now I'm telling people what to do. you can argue and have discussions and have debate over anything, and I think that's a good, healthy thing. But like when it comes down to I like what I like and you like what you like, I don't understand that argument. Like, how are you going to change my mind? I like what I like. I like vanilla ice cream. Sorry, you like strawberry. Okay.
This is just like human nature, isn't it? Whatever you're talking about, whether it's religion or politics or fucking Japanese fake fighting, you're going to get people responding to each other like this sort of tribalism. So, again,
especially when there's anonymity involved. Especially when there's anonymity involved.
Kick Kilowatt says, with New Japan quality going down in some people's opinion due to the COVID situation, do they rely on Gaijin talent too much? Should they focus more on signing other talented Japanese wrestlers, possibly from other federations? Well, I mean, first of all, I don't think this is like bare bones or anything. They've got a deep enough roster that if those people who are locked out of the country never came back, I think New Japan would be fine and they would be able to put on great shows with great main events and sell lots of tickets. And also just signing top talent from other Japanese companies is not really part of the culture there. It's not the done thing. The people who have gone from other Japanese promotions have sort of done it in an indirect sort of backdoor way. You know, thinking of guys like Ishimori, guys like Shingo, who left their companies when their contracts ran out and said, I'm going to be freelance or I'm going to work in America now, and then have ended up going to New Japan. So it's not like, don't expect New Japan to be saying, we're going to buy Kaito Kiyomiya or we're going to buy Kento Miyahara. It doesn't work like that, does it?
Wasn't Ishimori, though, a little bit weird? Him coming over, there was a little bit of
absolute shenanigans,
a little. I mean, it's not as cut and dry, but and again, there's been history of poaching talent. It's not like it doesn't happen all the time. It's not like it's fucking WWE where they're just signing people left and right. But I think,
like big names making direct jumps from rival promotions to New Japan.
You basically described Ricky Choshu in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean in the modern era.
Right. Trying to think of in modern era, but here's the thing: in modern era, has there been like I feel like there has been a pretty big gap, a sizable gap in. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's not as sizable as I think. My wife is leaving right now. She's giving me my vitamin pills, my vitamins. And all right, have a great day. I always would say this, Joel, that the idea of poaching talent, especially in the past 5 years, I think is detrimental to the overall health of Japanese pro wrestling. And New Japan as well. I don't think it would be a great thing for them to just go signing people left and right. I mean, it would kill promotions. I hate to say it, but once again, this virus has made. I mean, right now, Noah and DDT have this kind of partnership, working relationship thing, company overhead, same company thing. So it's going to be a weird thing. I don't know if there's going to be any cross promotions. You would think that there would be. I think it would kill a promotion if, say, give you an example. If New Japan said, "Okay, Kenta Miyahara, we're signing you right now. Here's the money. Come on over." That would kill All Japan, wouldn't it? And I don't think that's the best thing for business for anyone, to be truthful. Although, will there be an All Japan Pro Wrestling in 8 months? Right? Will there be a Big Japan Pro Wrestling in 5 months, 6 months? Which sucks to say. But if we know that is the case, then I think you'll see more people getting signed. Let's put it that way. If you see companies falling by the wayside because they can't run shows or it's difficult to run shows or people aren't coming out to run shows and the money's just not there and they have to fold, New Japan will sign some of those talented people.
But back to the original question, do you think New Japan is over-reliant on foreign talent?
No. Do you? I don't think so.
No.
I mean, and which is pretty clear in the shows that we're seeing here, right? I mean, we're doing a baseball stadium. I don't see any over reliance. That's for sure.
Teja says, should they do a tournament after Jingu for the IWGP Junior tag belts, showing Taguchi, Despi and Kanemaru, or Doki Ishimori? No, I'm reading this. Okay, showing Taguchi, Despi and Kanemaru or Doki, Ishimori and Gedo, Jado or Togo, and Bushi and Hiromu. Or would they need more juniors to make a potential tournament better?
I mean,
left out Master Watto there.
Yeah, you got to have Watto in there. They've had 4-man tournaments before for those titles, right? You could do just do whoever they feel are the fucking top two. You don't have to go through a whole tournament. Who are the top 2 teams? Fight. It's for the title. Go. I mean, they've done that with the Never title. No big deal. Just it's pro wrestling. You can make up the rules as you fucking go along. Give it two teams. Consider them the top contenders. It's for the titles. Away we go.
I think they're going to do it at some point. Maybe they thought having 4 tournaments at once would be overkill. Yeah. So wait and see. I'm sure they'll bring those belts back at some point. Okay, Sloth says, question mostly for Damon. How should we judge a good champion? When asking in retrospect, where does Naito rank? Are we only asking that question in the bubble of when he had the title? Whilst I would have loved for COVID not to happen and Naito to defend the belt several times, the money story was the chase, a modern-day Dusty Rhodes. And when ranking Dusty, I'm not sure people would take points away because all 3 of his reigns lasted around 100 days combined.
It's a good point. But I think Dusty's a little bit more influential in 1986, 87, what have you, to pro wrestling than Naito is now. I do. I mean, considering the fact that Dusty pretty much ran territories and had the book for Crockett and was in the mix in every big storyline, even though Naito is in the mix for every big storyline.
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. What are the criteria for a good champion? Because a lot of people talk about Kenny Omega's IWGP title run as being disappointing or bad, and the match where he won it against Okada, the best 2 out of 3 falls, and the match where he lost it to Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom 13, I thought were brilliant matches.
Great.
But then the defenses, the Cody defense in the States, the Ishii defense of Destruction, the 3-way defense of King of Pro Wrestling weren't so great. So, yeah, how do you judge a good champion?
By spreadsheet, obviously. I think there's a huge amount of criteria that are used for champion, right? I think the in-ring is important. I think if we're considering your champion to be the top guy of your company, I can't imagine the business aspect being hand-waved when it comes to importance of a champion, right? That includes gates and houses and profitability and all of that stuff that people sometimes eye roll and hand wave, right? I think that like company growth has to have something to do with that when you talk about a champion. And then I think an overall perception of importance in title reigns. Like was that title reign, or when they held that title, was it an important segment of time for that company's history? I think that has to be a consideration. I think Naito is an important piece of New Japan Pro Wrestling's popularity and a big piece of their puzzle when it comes to the strength of New Japan in the past 5 years. But I think that is over and above him holding the title. I think the Dusty Rhodes comparison is a decent comparison, honestly. Because you're right, you only defended it like a handful of times and they were on house shows. I think maybe the structure of New Japan Pro Wrestling too makes it a little bit more difficult in that it's not like Naito's defending this title on house shows. It's usually, a title defense. It's been one title defense per reign. I don't know. I think the thing that sticks out glaringly to me is two separate title defenses, or excuse me, two separate title reigns, each with one defense and done. And that, to me, feels like when you look back at it, and again, for separate times, one we could argue it's COVID related, one that we can argue certainly wasn't. I don't know. It's. I mean, he had a successful title defense against Ishii, and he had a successful title defense against Kenta. That's a good question. How would that? Is it just the reign? Is it just successful title defenses? Is that a part of the equation too? I don't know. I'd have to mull that one over, and I'm trying not to just fucking fill air with me mulling it over in my head. But
no, you're right, because the chase as well is such a huge part of it. How much of Naito's chase to get in the mix, or to even get to the point where he's challenging Okada at Wrestle Kingdom 14, do we ascribe to being a good champion? Does that count as well?
Great question.
So many moving parts.
Ricky Steamboat. And when Ricky Steamboat won the title from Flair, the best part of it was the chase. And not even necessarily him winning. And him winning, although him winning did produce some pretty great matches as well. So,
even now, a lot of people, like Nicola said, Naito is more interesting than he's ever been. But again, that's building up to him getting another title shot at the Jingu Stadium Summer Struggle show. So does that count as him being part of a champion? This little period where, let's say he wins it back, this period where he's lost it and Hiromu's challenged for it and Naito's been building back up to the challenge. So it's not an easy one to judge.
Yeah, the chase has to be in consideration, I would think. That's a great point. Who was that person who brought that question to the table?
That was sorry, I've deleted it. I deleted it. The BK, but no, it wasn't that. So Sloth.
That was Joel Abraham. It was Mally.
It was Esther Mina Abraham.
Yeah, right,
5 months old.
Great question. 5 months old. It's pretty insightful. Very good. But anyway, that was a good question. That's something to absolutely think about. We could do a whole podcast on that probably. Great question.
Here's another great question from Archaic Bro. It says, using the checklist, which I'm going to read to you in a moment, which New Japan wrestler fits the word himbo? So I'm going to read these criteria to you, and you tell me at the end which New Japan wrestlers you think are a himbo. So
I don't know what a himbo is.
Well, I'm going to explain it now. So to be a himbo, you have to be beefy. So himbos must be big and muscular. Pecs the size of your head are required by law. If the word live can be applied to this man in any circumstances, he is not a himbo. Please try again. Oh, let me just give credit, actually. This tweet is from Hair of HRR, so just give the credit there. Is he nice? Whether he's a sweet mama's boy or an excitable golden retriever puppy, himbos must be gentle, non-threatening giants. Mean, grumpy men cannot be himbos. And the third criteria is he dumb as a box of rocks? A himbo with more than 2 brain cells is no himbo at all, but his stupidity must be of the endearing variety, not frustrating or infuriating. If he openly wonders what the Spanish word for tortilla is, he's a himbo. If he thinks a chilly day means global warming is a hoax, he's just an idiot. So those are 3 criteria: beefy, nice, and dumb as a box of rocks. So perhaps you're still uncertain. You think, yeah, he's beefy, nice and dumb, but is he beefy, nice and dumb enough? Here's some optional himbo traits to help you discern true himbos from the himbo adjacent. So here's more criteria you could use. Lesbians like him, a jock, conventionally attractive, drinks his respect women juice, kind of slutty, blonde, potentially a little bit vain or self-absorbed. So, Damon, which New Japan wrestlers are himbos? I'm thinking 2 at the moment. I've got 2 names.
I'm thinking I want to hang myself. Okay, give me the 2 names.
Sanada and Ibushi.
Okay. Again, criteria: muscular, yes. I'm doing Ibushi because I think Ibushi. Dumb as a bag of rocks, yes. Right.
And nice. They have to be nice.
I think Ibushi's very nice, right? I think he seems like a real nice dude. All right, so I would go Himbo for him. Himbo? What does Himbo stand for?
I think it's supposed to be like bimbo, but with the male pronoun him.
Oh. All right. Are we done?
Well, with the podcast or that question?
That question, please. And we got about 5 minutes, by the way, for questions.
Okay, Austin says, scale of 1 to 10, how interested would you be in on Okada Naito dream team of sorts teaming up for a tour or beyond?
Okada Naito dream team tour tagging up. I mean, what would be the circumstances surrounding that? No, look, no. I don't think that. I think that's kind of, well, I think that might be what makes it interesting would be that it's such a weird mix. I'm going to go with a no, though.
Dr. Poodle Papa, how excited are you to never see another God versus Sonata Evil match?
I remember when they fucking were first going, first started, and we were all excited, and they really burnt that out real quick, didn't they? Yeah, I'd be up for both. It is nice. I love the fact that Evil has a fresh new coat of paint. There's nothing I enjoy more than seeing new pictures of Evil now. Evil looks fucking great. I'm sorry. And
have you seen the latest one with the white hair?
Yeah, no, white hair? No.
Yeah, let me send it to you. Hold on a second.
All right, let's see. Let's get a live reaction, being that they're all the rage. Am I a himbo? I'm not a himbo. I'm not beefy. I'm beefy, but not muscular way. That's for sure.
Okay,
I'm beefy in the I can't get out of bed way.
All right, I'm sending you the link to the tweet on WhatsApp.
Oh, all right, I see that. Let's. Whoa, come on! And he's got little highlights of purple in. Look, he looks fucking badass. I'm sorry, he does. It's amazing. He just got rid of the fucking dumb eyeliner. No more sickle. No more crazy ass robe. Joe, he looks like a fucking badass. He looks like a badass.
He looks great.
He does look great. All right, I'm in on the Evil. All right, give me one more question. Why don't we? Make it a good one.
Just pick a good one. Okay, here we go. Bash says, is there a Super J-Cast Hall of Fame this year? Because I remember it was around this time last year.
I'm going to leave it up to you. In the sense of you decide if there is or there isn't. I just think it's a funny, goofy thing, you know. And we did it last year just as a thing, and I don't know. People seem to enjoy it in the sense of I don't know. I don't think it's a. You tell me, because it felt like you weren't 100% into it.
I need some time to think about it. There's got to be enough credible candidates for it to be worthwhile.
Okay. All right. That's that. That's fine. Sorry, everybody who's
listeners.
in it.
If you feel strongly about it, tweet me with nominees for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Joel's got to feel it. If Joel don't feel it, it ain't happening. So that's where we stand on the Super J-Cast Hall of Fame.
All right. Well, that will bring things to a close for another week, and that just remains for me to scroll through my notes to find the closing bit. Okay, redcircle.com/.
Yeah, but listen, wait. Before you do that, do we? And you might have to look on the tweet. So I got a package in the mail the other day.
Oh yes.
These were unbelievable, and this was completely unexpected, to be honest with you, because I had no idea. Get a package in the mail. They are comic books, and they're illustrated with such detail. It's unbelievable. One of them is dedicated to Liger, and it's Liger Wrestling Muda, and it's a comic book. And then there's another one where it's just illustrations of pro wrestlers. And some of them are really outstanding. Like there's an Ishii one and a Zack one, and even like a Bret Hart one. Fucking unbelievably talented, and they were great, and it was such a great surprise. So I'm going to give a special shout out. Joel has the information of where you can contact them. It deserves all the love in the world because, one, it was a surprise to get this, and two, it's outstanding. Like, I was blown away by what this person is able to create and draw and illustrate. So, Joel, why don't you let the listeners know where they can follow on Instagram, Twitter, and, again, pick up some of these magazines, some of these comic books. He's a legitimate illustrator. Like, he works on legitimate comics.
Look, David, this person has like 40,000 followers on Twitter, so I'm not sure like us giving him a shout is going to boost that necessarily, but I'm going to do it anyway. Right. So this is Daniel Warren Johnson, and you can find him on Twitter at Daniel Warren Art. So that's at Daniel Warren Art. Incredible stuff. I mean, I just looking at the pictures here, it's unbelievably good. So definitely give that Daniel a follow on Twitter.
Follow, buy, he does commission work according to some of the stuff I saw on his Twitter. Again, I'm not really in on the comic scene, but like if you look at his bio, he works on like Wonder Woman comics and shit. So, I mean, I know that. So, again, a huge thank you. It was awesome to receive that. I appreciate it. I don't know how the fuck they got my address, but awesome. But yes, that was very, very cool. So, thanks a million, and give him a follow.
All right. So also redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast if you want to give us some money. Discord link is in the show notes if you want to join that and join in with all the fun discussions about crisps and food and live watch-alongs for the events. ProWrestlingTees.com/super-j-cast if you want to buy one of our t-shirts. And thank you as always to editor Dan, who you can find on Twitter at LousyHero219. And you can subscribe to the Voices of Wrestling podcast network for other really great shows. Please give us a 5-snake review and some nice words on iTunes, because that helps us move up the rankings and stuff. Follow us on Twitter at SuperJcast. Thank you everyone for listening, and goodbye.